We live in an age of illusion, an age that whispers a seductive and dangerous lie into our ears from the moment we are born. It is the lie of the shortcut, the promise of the easy way, the gospel of instant gratification. Our modern world has become a grand marketplace of comfort, selling us the idea that the primary goal of life is to avoid friction, to eliminate struggle, and to arrive at our destination with as little effort as possible. We are told to hack our lives, to find the path of least resistance. And so we spend our days searching for the comfortable job, the risk-free investment, the painless relationship, the effortless success. Most people spend their entire existence on this quest, believing that comfort is the ultimate prize. But today, I am here to tell you that this pervasive belief is not just an illusion, it is a trap. It is the most profound deception that keeps good people living ordinary lives. Because here is a truth as real and as unforgiving as the law of gravity. The relentless pursuit of an easy life will, without fail, lead to a very hard life. And conversely, the courageous embrace of a difficult path is the only road that leads to a truly easy one. This is the great paradox of existence. It is the fundamental choice that stands before every single one of us, every single day, in every single decision we make. It is a choice that defines our character, shapes our future, and ultimately writes the story of our lives. Today, we are not going to glance at this choice. We are going to dissect it. We are going to hold it up to the light and understand it so deeply that it changes the very way you see the world. Let us begin by exploring the two great pains of life. You see, there is no escaping pain. The universe does not offer a pain-free option. It only offers a choice of pain. On one hand, you have the pain of discipline. On the other, you have the pain of regret. Your entire future hinges on which of these two you decide to embrace. Let's first analyze the pain of discipline. What is it really? The pain of discipline is the price of admission for a better future. It is the payment you make up front in the currency of effort and focus. It is the soreness in your muscles the day after you force yourself back to the gym. It is the mental fatigue you feel after you choose to read a challenging book instead of turning on the television. It is the discomfort in your stomach before you make the difficult phone call you've been avoiding. The pain of discipline feels like friction. It is the resistance you feel when you try to change your own inertia. It is always heaviest at the beginning. But here are its defining characteristics. The pain of discipline is temporary. It is an investment, not a cost. Every ounce of it you endure builds something. It builds strength, it builds character, it builds skill, it builds momentum. Think of a sculptor with a block of marble. To the marble, the chisel and hammer are instruments of pain. They are violent, they are abrasive, they are uncomfortable. But the sculptor, with his vision, knows that every chip of stone that falls away is not a loss, but a revelation. He is not destroying the marble, he is liberating the masterpiece that was always waiting inside. The pain of discipline is that chisel. It is the force that chips away at your weakness, your apathy, and your ignorance to reveal the stronger, more capable person within. Now let us turn our attention to its counterpart, the other choice, the pain of regret. The pain of regret is a different beast entirely. Unlike the upfront payment of discipline, regret is a debt you defer. You don't pay it today. You push it off until tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. But this is a debt that compounds with crushing interest. What does the pain of regret feel like? It is the hollow ache of unfulfilled potential. It is the ghost of the person you could have become haunting your later years. It is the sickening feeling of looking back at a landscape of missed opportunities, of chances not taken, of words not spoken. It is the endless repeating question that whispers to you in the quiet of the night. What if? What if I had tried? What if I had started? What if I had not been so afraid? The characteristics of this pain are terrifying. Where discipline is temporary, regret is permanent. It lingers, it stains your memories. Where discipline builds, regret erodes. It eats away at your self-respect, your confidence, and your peace of mind. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. You feel it, and then it is gone, leaving you stronger. The pain of regret weighs tons. It is a burden you carry on your back for the rest of your journey, growing heavier with each passing year. I once knew two men who started from the same place, Both were young, with similar skills and similar opportunities. The first man chose the path of ease. When his friends went out in the evenings, he went with them. When a challenging project came up at work, he let someone else volunteer. He spent his money as soon as he earned it on things that brought him immediate pleasure. He avoided difficult conversations. He never read a book that challenged his thinking. He was living, by all appearances, a comfortable life. He chose to avoid the ounces of discipline. The second man made a different choice. He chose the hard road. He dedicated 1 hour every evening to reading. He took on the projects at work that nobody else wanted because he knew they would teach him something new. He learned to save and invest a portion of his income, even when it meant sacrificing immediate wants. He forced himself to have the tough conversations to build stronger relationships. His life was, by all appearances, less comfortable. He was paying the price of discipline day after day. 10 years later, I saw these two men again. The first man was trapped. He was in the same job, now complaining that he was underpaid. He was in debt, stressed about his finances. He was surrounded by the same friends who were also complaining about their lives. He was living in a prison of circumstances that he had built, one easy choice at a time. He was now carrying the tons of regret. The second man was free. His consistent investment in knowledge had made him an expert in his field, leading to incredible opportunities. His financial discipline had given him options. He was no longer a slave to his paycheck. His willingness to face challenges had forged in him a quiet confidence that was evident to everyone he met. His life had become, by all accounts, easy. Not a life of leisure, but a life of choice, of freedom, of peace of mind. He had paid with ounces of discipline, and in return, he had purchased a life free from the weight of regret. That is the choice laid bare. It is the choice between paying a small price now or an unbearable price forever. So, understanding this, how do we begin to walk the hard road? It begins with a declaration, a decision that you will no longer be a passenger in your own life, but the architect. It is the moment you decide to become the sculptor and not the marble. And you do this by systematically doing the things that most people are unwilling to do. You must embrace the hard road of knowledge. This means turning off the noise and engaging in deep thought. It means building a library and considering it more valuable than your television. It means recognizing that your formal education is just the starting point. Your self-education is what will build your fortune. Most people stop learning the day they leave school. You must decide to become a student for life. You must embrace the hard road of financial discipline. It means creating a plan for your money, telling every dollar where to go instead of wondering where it went. It means choosing the unseen asset of a growing investment account over the visible gratification of a new gadget. Most people are financial children, spending their lives trading time for money just to consume. You must learn to make your money work for you so that you can one day buy back your time. You must embrace the hard road of physical health. It means treating your body like the temple it is, not a storage shed for junk food and excuses. It means the discipline of exercise, of proper nutrition, of adequate rest. Most people neglect their health until it is gone, and then they would trade all their money to get it back. You must build your health now as the foundation upon which all other successes are built. And perhaps most difficult of all, you must embrace the hard road of character. This is the internal work. This is the discipline of being honest when a lie would be easier. It is the discipline of taking responsibility when it is tempting to cast blame. It is the discipline of keeping the promises you make to yourself. This is the work that no one else sees. There are no awards for it, but it is everything. Because if the foundation is weak, the building, no matter how beautiful, will eventually collapse. The journey on this hard road is most difficult at the start. The inertia of your old habits will fight you. The gravity of other people's opinions will try to pull you back down. But if you persist, something magical happens. A law of the universe kicks in, the law of momentum. Every disciplined action becomes a small victory. These victories build on each other. Waking up early becomes easier. Reading becomes a pleasure, not a chore. Making wise choices becomes your default setting. The ounces of discipline begin to feel lighter and lighter until discipline is no longer something you do, but something you are. This is the tipping point. This is the moment where the hard road begins to feel easy. Not because the road has changed, but because you have become stronger. You have developed the muscles of discipline. And the easy life that you find is not what the world sells you. It is not a life free from problems. It is a life where you are strong enough to handle any problem that comes your way. It is not a life of idleness. It is a life of purpose and options. It is the profound ease that comes from financial freedom. It is the deep calm that comes from a healthy body and a clear conscience. It is the simple joy that comes from looking in the mirror and respecting the person you see, knowing that you built that person one hard choice at a time. So, I will leave you with the same question that stands before us all. It is the first and last question of a life well lived. Which pain will you choose? Will you continue to pay the ever-compounding tax of regret? Or will you begin today, right now, to invest in the temporary, rewarding, and noble pain of discipline? The choice is yours. The future is not something that happens to you. It is something you create. Become the architect. Choose the hard road. And it will lead you to a life more magnificent than you can possibly imagine. In our previous discussion, we established the most critical decision a human being can make, the choice between the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. We chose to walk the hard road, knowing that it is the only path that leads to a life of substance and freedom. But once you have made that fundamental choice, a new question arises. How do you navigate this road? What is the map for this challenging territory? The world is chaotic, unpredictable. Economies rise and fall. Fortunes are made and lost. Relationships begin and end. How does one build a life of stability and progress in a world of constant change? The answer is found not in the complex theories of modern society, but in the simple, profound, and unchanging rhythm of the earth itself. The answer is found in the law of the seasons. This is perhaps the most powerful metaphor for understanding life that I have ever encountered. Life is not a straight linear path of uninterrupted progress. The human desire for a perpetual summer and endless harvest is a fantasy. Life, like the year, operates in cycles. There is a time for planting and a time for reaping. A time for growth and a time for rest. There is spring, there is summer, there is fall, and there is the inevitable winter. Here is the foundational truth of this law. You cannot change the seasons. You cannot legislate away the winter. You cannot beg the spring to arrive sooner. The seasons are an objective reality, indifferent to your opinions or your desires. But, and this is where all human potential lies, you can change yourself. You can learn to adapt. You can learn to use the seasons to your advantage. The person who builds their life in defiance of this law will be broken by it. But the person who aligns their actions with the wisdom of the seasons will become unstoppable. Today, we will walk through this timeless map. We will dissect each season not just as a metaphor, but as a strategic guide for your career, your finances, your relationships, and your personal growth. Let us begin with the season that most people fear, the winter. Winter is the season of limitation and difficulty. It is the recession that arrives unannounced. It is the business deal that falls through. It is the personal failure that leaves you feeling frozen and discouraged. It is the period of creative block, of emotional coldness, of seeing others advance while you feel stuck. Winter is inevitable. There will be winters in your life. The great question is not if winter will come, but what you will do when it arrives. The unprepared person, the one who lived as if summer would last forever, experiences winter as a catastrophe. They curse the cold. They blame the frost. They shiver in the winds of adversity and complain that life is unfair. They see winter as the end. They retreat, they hide, and they wait, hoping for the world to change for them. Their winter is a time of misery and decay. But the wise person, the architect of their life, understands winter. They do not see it as an end, but as a crucial and productive beginning. They use winter for three specific purposes. First, the wise use winter to become stronger. When the ground is frozen and outside activity is limited, it is the time for internal growth. This is the season for the library. This is the season to read the books, to study the subjects, to reflect on your philosophy. Winter is when you fortify your mind. It is when you build the intellectual and emotional resilience that will be required when the seasons turn. While others are complaining about the cold, you are building a fire within. Second, the wise use winter to become wiser. Winter is the season for honest and unflinching review. You must look back at your previous fall, your last harvest. What were the results? What worked? What did you do right? And more importantly, what did you do wrong? What were the mistakes in judgment, the errors in strategy, the failures in discipline? You must learn the lessons of the last cycle. To enter a new spring with the same old errors is the definition of insanity. Winter is your time at the drawing board, learning from both your triumphs and your defeats. And third, the wise use winter to plan. This is the season for deep strategic thinking. With the wisdom gained from your review, you now draw the blueprints for the coming year. You set clear, defined goals. What exactly do you want to achieve when the ground thaws? You develop a detailed plan of action. What seeds will you plant? Where will you plant them? What resources will you need? While the world is dormant, you are designing your future harvest. Do not resent the winter. The harshest winters produce the strongest trees. Use this inevitable season to grow stronger, wiser, and to plan your victory. And then the world begins to change. The snow melts, the ground softens, and the season of opportunity arrives. This is the spring. Spring is the season of action. It is the window of time where your winter plans can be put into motion. Opportunity, like the fertile soil of spring, is available only for a short time. To miss this window is to guarantee a barren fall. The great tragedy of many lives is what I call sleeping through the spring. It is the disease of procrastination. The person who says, "I'll start next week, I'll wait for the perfect moment, the ground is still a bit too cold," they are waiting for a guarantee that does not exist. Spring does not reward hesitation. It rewards bold, massive, and immediate action. This is the season to take your well-crafted plans from winter and turn them into a flurry of disciplined activity. Your primary duty in the spring is to plant. Plant the seeds of your future. If you want financial independence, this is the season you start the investment account, you build the budget, you start the side business. If you want a rich intellectual life, this is the season you register for the class, you hire the coach, you begin the difficult book. If you want strong relationships, this is the season you make the phone call, you apologize, you set the dinner date. And here is a key strategy for spring. Plant more than you think you will need. Don't just plant one seed and pray for it to grow. Plant a field. Try new things. Start multiple projects. Reach out to many potential clients. Some seeds will not germinate. Some ideas will fail. That is part of the process. The aim of spring is not to guarantee every seed will sprout, but to give yourself the highest probability of a successful harvest by planting in abundance. Do not judge your progress in the spring by the sprouts you see, but by the seeds you sow. The work of spring is faith in action. After the intense activity of spring, the character of your work must change. The sun gets higher, the days get longer. Now comes the summer. Summer is the season of cultivation and protection. It is perhaps the most difficult season, for it requires relentless daily discipline. The exciting work of planting is over. The rewarding work of harvesting has not yet begun. Summer is the long, hard grind in between. Your new habits, your new business, your new skills, they are now young, vulnerable sprouts. And in the summer, two great threats will emerge to destroy them. The first threat is the weeds. The weeds of doubt will begin to creep into your mind. Is this really working? Am I wasting my time? The weeds of old habits will try to reclaim their territory. The weeds of negative people will whisper their discouragement. Your job in the summer is to be a ruthless gardener. You must vigilantly pull these weeds from your mind and your environment every single day. If you allow them to take root, they will silently choke the life out of your dreams. The second threat is the pests. The pests of distraction will appear. The shiny new object that tempts you away from your plan. The unexpected crisis that demands your attention. The small compromises that eat away at your resolve. Your job in the summer is to stand guard over your field. You must protect your focus. You must defend your time. You must remain committed to the daily unglamorous work of watering your seeds, protecting them, and nurturing their growth. Summer is the ultimate test of your character. It rewards persistence over talent. It rewards consistency over intensity. It is the season where you must show up every day, especially on the days you don't feel like it. The person who masters the discipline of summer is the person who will be rewarded in the fall. And finally, after the planting of winter, the planting of spring, and the persistence of summer, the season of results arrives. This is the fall. The fall is the season of the harvest. It is the time of consequences. In the fall, we are all confronted with the undeniable results of our past activities. There is no hiding. The field is either full or it is empty. For the person who slept through the spring and played during the summer, the fall is a season of bitterness. They look at the abundant harvest of their neighbors and call it luck. They complain that the world is unfair. But the truth is laid bare for all to see. They have nothing to reap because they did nothing to sow. But for you, for the person who used the seasons wisely, the fall is a time of magnificent reward. It is the payoff for all your disciplined effort. And in this season of abundance, you have 3 final responsibilities. First, you must harvest without apology. You must take full personal responsibility for your success. It was not luck. It was your planning in the winter, your action in the spring, and your discipline in the summer that created this result. Acknowledge your achievement. Second, you must harvest without arrogance. Remember, as you stand in your abundant field, that winter is always on its way again. The wise person does not consume their entire harvest. They enjoy the fruits of their labor, but they also use the abundance of the fall to prepare for the next winter, making it less severe than the last. They store their grains, they save their profits, they invest their resources, ensuring that the next cycle will begin from a position of greater strength. And third, you must harvest with gratitude. Be thankful for the opportunity of the spring, for the strength to endure the summer, and for the lessons of the past winter. This is the cycle, this is the rhythm of a well-lived life. It is not about finding a permanent summer. It is about becoming the kind of person who can find opportunity in the spring, who can demonstrate discipline in the summer, who can reap a harvest in the fall, and who can grow stronger and wiser in the winter. So I ask you to look at your own life right now. Which season are you in? Are you in a winter of difficulty? If so, do not despair. Begin to plan, to study, to learn. Are you in a spring of opportunity? If so, do not hesitate. Engage in massive disciplined action. Are you in the long summer of the grind? If so, do not falter. Protect your focus and persist in your daily habits. Or are you in a fall of reward? If so, do not grow complacent. Harvest with responsibility and prepare for what comes next. You cannot change the seasons, but you as a conscious human being have the power to change yourself. Work with the law, not against it. Align yourself with this timeless rhythm, and you will not only survive the inevitable changes of life, you will thrive in them. We are midway through this important discussion, and we are touching upon principles that are not mere suggestions, but are foundational laws of achievement. If these ideas are resonating with you, if you feel a stirring of recognition that this is the path you've been searching for, then I invite you to make a small commitment to your own growth. Subscribe to this channel. This is not just about watching videos. It is about joining a community of individuals who are serious about the architecture of a well-lived life. It is your declaration that you are ready to move from being a spectator to being an architect. Now, let us continue with the essential tools for that construction. We have journeyed together through the great paradox of life, the understanding that the hard road is the only path to a life of ease. We have navigated the timeless map of the seasons, learning to use the inevitable cycles of life to our advantage rather than being a victim of them. And now we arrive at the very heart of the matter. We come to the engine room of all human progress. After you have chosen your path and understood the map, you are left with the vehicle that will carry you on this journey, yourself. I want to introduce you to a concept that, if you truly grasp it, will change the entire trajectory of your existence. For the next 30 minutes, I want you to stop thinking of yourself as just a person. I want you to begin thinking of yourself as an enterprise. The most important enterprise you will ever manage, let's call it you Incorporated. This enterprise has a CEO, a board of directors, assets, liabilities, a profit and loss statement, and a market value. And the success of this enterprise, more than anything else, will determine the quality of your life. The marketplace, whether you are an employee, a business owner, or an artist, does not pay you for your time. This is a fundamental misunderstanding. The marketplace pays you for the value you bring to it. And this leads us to the most powerful law of economics and of life. Your outer world will always be a reflection of your inner world. Your income, your health, your relationships, and your sense of fulfillment will rarely, if ever, exceed the level of your own personal development. Most people spend their lives chasing the effects. They chase more money. They chase more recognition. They chase a better job title. They are trying to change the fruit on the tree without ever tending to the roots. They want to change their bank account without first changing themselves. But life does not work that way. To have more, you must first become more. The work does not begin on your job or on your bank account. The work begins on you. Today, we are going to conduct a master class on how to manage and grow the enterprise of You Incorporated. We are going to explore the three primary currencies of self-investment, the practical how-to of becoming the person capable of creating the life you desire. Let us begin with the first and most foundational currency, time and the investment in knowledge. The most common excuse I hear from people who are stagnating in life is, "I don't have time." Let us be clear, this is a lie. You do not have a time problem, you have a priority problem. We all get the same 24 hours. The difference between the person who grows and the person who withers is how they allocate that unrenewable resource. I propose a simple choice that will define your future. The choice between the living room and the library. The living room represents passive consumption. It is the television, the endless scrolling on social media, the mindless entertainment that numbs you and asks nothing of you. It is easy, it is comfortable, and it will keep you exactly where you are. The library, on the other hand, represents active acquisition. The library can be a physical room of books, or it can be an online course, a podcast that teaches, a seminar that challenges. The library is any place where you are an active participant in your own growth. It is often difficult. It requires focus. And it is the single greatest catalyst for changing your life. A formal education, they say, will make you a living. And that is true. But a self-education will make you a fortune. Your real education begins the day you leave school and take full responsibility for your own learning. The person who stops learning stops growing. And what is not growing is dying. So what should you learn? You must be a strategist. Don't just read aimlessly. Invest your time in acquiring high-value skills and knowledge. Study financial literacy so you can become the master of your money, not its slave. Study communication so your ideas can have influence and impact. Study leadership so you can multiply your efforts through others. Study your own industry with such intensity that you become one of the most valuable people in it. The amazing thing about knowledge is that it is not additive, it is exponential. One idea from one book can intersect with another idea from another course, creating a new insight that can increase your value tenfold. While others are spending their evenings consuming, you must be investing yours in learning. That is the discipline that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. Now we come to the second currency, one that is often overlooked, treasure and the investment in mentorship. One of the greatest forms of arrogance is the belief that you can figure it all out on your own. To try to learn everything through your own trial and error is to sentence yourself to a life of slow progress and unnecessary pain. The wise person understands that the fastest way to succeed is to learn from those who have already succeeded. You must find mentors. And this brings us to one of the most powerful and sometimes difficult laws of life, the law of association. You will, over time, become the combined average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Their attitudes, their health habits, their income levels, their ambitions, all of it will seep into your life. Show me your friends, and I will show you your future. Therefore, investing in yourself requires you to perform a courageous audit of your associations. This is the hard work. You must sit down and list the people in your inner circle and ask of each one, does this person inspire me? Do they challenge me to be better? Do they hold me to a higher standard? Or do they drain my energy, mock my ambition, and validate my excuses? This audit will lead you to one of the most difficult choices on the hard road, the choice of loving subtraction. You may have to lovingly, respectfully, begin to distance yourself from the people who are holding you back. You cannot soar with eagles if you continue to scratch with turkeys. But subtraction's only half the equation. You must then make a conscious, strategic investment in addition. You must find your eagles. How do you do this? You invest your treasure, your money, to gain access. This is why people pay for seminars, for coaching, for mastermind groups. You are not just buying information, you are buying proximity. You are buying access to a new conversation, a new network, a new standard of thinking. The advice you receive in 1 hour from a true mentor can save you 10 years of mistakes. To say I cannot afford the seminar is to misunderstand the nature of wealth. The truth is, you cannot afford the cost of the ignorance that comes from not attending. And that brings us to our third currency of investment, effort and the investment in skills. It is not enough to know something. It is not enough to be around the right people. You must be able to do something of value. A man can work hard digging ditches all day, but at the end of the day, all he has is a ditch. Hard work alone is not the answer. Hard work on your skills is the answer. You must transform yourself from a laborer into a craftsman. A laborer trades time for money. A craftsman trades skill for a fortune. The laborer is replaceable. The craftsman is indispensable. This requires a fundamental shift in how you view your work. Your job is not just a place to earn a paycheck. Your job is a practice field for developing your skills. Every task, every project, every challenge is an opportunity to get better. The average person does just enough to not get fired. The person destined for success does more than is required, not for their boss, but for themselves. They see every day as a chance to refine their craft, to become more effective, more efficient, more valuable. This investment of effort is the painful process of practice, feedback, and refinement. It's staying late to master the new software while others are rushing home. It's making the extra sales call after you've already met your quota. It's rehearsing the presentation 20 times instead of twice. This is the discipline that forges raw talent into world-class skill. It is the engine that translates the knowledge you've acquired and the mentorship you've received into tangible market value. And now, we must address the great dragon that guards the treasure of self-investment. We must talk about the greatest risk. The greatest risk is not that you will invest in a book and not like it. The greatest risk is not that you will pay for a seminar and it won't be perfect. The greatest risk is not that you will try to learn a new skill and fail at first. No, the greatest risk of all is doing nothing. The greatest risk is playing it safe. The person who does not invest in themselves because they are afraid of failure has guaranteed it. The person who says, I can't afford to invest in myself, has guaranteed a life of financial scarcity. The person who avoids leaving their comfortable circle of friends for fear of judgment has guaranteed a life of mediocrity. Playing it safe is the most dangerous thing you can do in a world that is constantly changing. A ship in the harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. A life lived in the harbor of comfort and safety is not a life at all. It is an existence of managed decay. You must be willing to risk the temporary discomfort of growth to avoid the permanent pain of regret. So what is the return on this investment? What is the harvest that comes from pouring your time, your treasure, and your effort back into the enterprise of You Incorporated? The return is not just more money, though that is often a byproduct. The real return is transformation. The return is a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. The return is resilience, the ability to thrive in any season because you have built your strength in the winter. The return is wisdom, the ability to see opportunity where others see only obstacles. The return is freedom, financial freedom, emotional freedom, and the freedom to live life on your own terms. You become the most valuable asset in your own life. You are no longer a fragile leaf blown about by the winds of fate. You are the oak tree with deep roots capable of withstanding any storm. So I challenge you today to stop being a mere consumer of your life and to become its primary investor. Look at your calendar. Look at your bank statement. They will tell you the honest truth about your priorities. What is the one investment you will make in yourself this week? Will you buy the book that's been on your list? Will you sign up for the course that will teach you a valuable new skill? Will you identify one person you admire and ask them for 15 minutes of their time? Do not delay. The enterprise of You is waiting for its CEO to act. Begin the work. Invest in yourself. For it is the only investment that is guaranteed to pay you dividends for the rest of your life. We have journeyed far. We have made the fundamental choice to walk the hard road. We have accepted the wisdom of the seasons as our strategic map. We have committed to the lifelong project of investing in the enterprise of You incorporated, pouring our time, treasure, and effort into becoming more. But now we arrive at the workshop. We arrive at the place where potential is forged into power, where intention is hammered into reality. We come to the core mechanism of all human achievement. Many people possess knowledge, many people have noble intentions, but their lives do not change. Why? Because they are missing the engine of transformation. Today we will install that engine. We are here to discuss the most overlooked, undervalued, and yet most powerful force in the universe for personal change. It is not genius, it is not talent, it is not luck. It is the simple, profound, and relentless power of repetition. We are taught to celebrate the quantum leap, the overnight success, the stroke of genius. But these are dangerous myths. They are the exceptions that distract us from the rule. The truth is that mastery in any field is not an act of spontaneous brilliance. It is the inevitable result of 1,000 small, seemingly boring, and disciplined acts repeated over time. This law operates in two critical domains of your life. There is the outer world of your actions, and there is the inner world of your thoughts. First, we must master the repetition of action to forge skill. Then we must master the repetition of language to forge identity. When these two forces align, your destiny is not something you hope for, it is something you architect. Let us first enter the workshop of the outer world. Let us talk about repetition as the forging of skill. Mastery is not about knowing 10,000 different things. It is about practicing one essential thing 10,000 times. I once met a young man who wanted to be a great speaker. He was frustrated. He told me, "I've read the books. I've watched the great orators. I understand the theory. But when I stand in front of an audience, I falter. I lack power." I asked him a simple question that cut through all his confusion. I asked, "How many times have you given a speech?" He looked down and said, "A few times." And there was the answer. You cannot read your way to becoming a great speaker. You cannot wish your way to becoming a great musician. You cannot theorize your way to becoming a great leader. Skill is not born in the mind. It is born in the muscles, in the nerves, in the marrow of your bones through the fire of repetition. Talent is a wonderful thing. It is a gift. But let me tell you a secret. Disciplined, relentless repetition will outperform lazy talent every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Talent is the raw marble full of potential. But repetition is the sculptor's chisel, patiently chipping away everything that is not the masterpiece. There is a science to this. Every time you practice a skill, whether it is a golf swing, a line of code, or a sales presentation, you are building and strengthening a neural pathway in your brain. You are literally paving a road in your mind. The first time, it is like hacking a path through a dense jungle. It is difficult, slow, and requires immense concentration. But the 10th time, it is a footpath. The 100th time, it is a trail. The 1,000th time, it is a paved 4-lane highway. The action that was once difficult becomes easy. Then it becomes automatic. Then it becomes a part of you. This is the process of moving from conscious incompetence to unconscious competence. It is the architecture of mastery. The enemy of this process is inconsistency. The world is full of dabblers. The dabbler starts a project with great enthusiasm. They go to the gym for a week. They practice the piano for a month. They work on their business plan for a few weekends. But when the initial excitement fades, when the hard, boring work of repetition begins, they quit and move on to the next exciting thing. Their life is a collection of unfinished projects and unfulfilled potential. Their efforts are a mile wide and an inch deep. The master, in contrast, is willing to be bored. The master understands that the magic is not in the single heroic act, but in the mundane daily practice. They are willing to show up when they are not inspired. They are willing to do the work when no one is watching. They embrace the grind, knowing that the highway of skill is paved with the asphalt of 1,000 boring repetitions. Do not seek excitement in the practice. Seek the results that the practice will inevitably produce. But what if I told you that the most important skill you practice is not what you do with your hands or your voice? What if I told you that the most important repetition is the one you perform thousands of times a day without even realizing it? This brings us to the inner world. This brings us to language as the programming of reality. Every thought you think is a repetition. Every word you say to yourself is a brushstroke on the canvas of your identity. Your inner dialogue is the most consistent and influential habit of your entire life. It is the background music to your existence. And that music is either lifting you up to new heights, or it is slowly, insidiously pulling you down. Think of your subconscious mind as a fertile garden. The words you repeat are the seeds you plant in that garden. Your subconscious does not judge, it does not analyze whether a seed is a flower or a weed. Its only job is to make grow whatever you plant. If you consistently repeat the language of the victim, you are planting weeds. The vocabulary of the victim includes words and phrases like, I can't, it's impossible, I'm not smart enough, it's not fair, if only I had, they won't let. This language does two destructive things. First, it externalizes responsibility. It puts the power for your life in the hands of something or someone else. Second, it commands your subconscious mind to shut down. The moment you say, I can't, your brain stops looking for solutions. The debate is over. You have programmed yourself for failure. Now, consider the alternative. You must consciously and deliberately cultivate the vocabulary of the victor. This is the language of responsibility and possibility. The vocabulary of the victor includes words and phrases like, I will, how can I, it's up to me. What's the next logical step? What is the situation teaching me? I will find a way. This language is a command to your subconscious mind to open up, to seek solutions, to find a path. When you ask, how can I? You engage the most powerful problem-solving computer on the planet, your brain. You have programmed yourself for resourcefulness. Changing your language is one of the hardest and most important forms of discipline. You must become a guard at the gate of your own mind. You must catch the negative, disempowering thoughts and words the moment they arise and consciously replace them. This is not about lying to yourself. It is not about pretending you don't have problems. It is about changing your orientation to those problems. It is the shift from seeing yourself as a thermometer that merely reflects the conditions of the world to a thermostat that sets the conditions. This creates a powerful feedback loop. Your repeated language shapes your beliefs about what is possible for you. Your beliefs dictate the actions you are willing to take. Your actions determine your results, and your results reinforce your original language. A man who tells himself he is unlucky will only notice the times things go wrong, which reinforces his belief, which causes him to act with hesitation, which produces poor results, which proves to him that he is, in fact, unlucky. To change your life, you must break the loop at its source, the words you repeat. This is the symphony of success. It is the final, powerful alignment of the inner and outer worlds. The person who develops world-class skills through repetition, but who secretly repeats the language of self-doubt, will find a way to sabotage their own success. They will not ask for the promotion. They will not seize the opportunity. Their outer competence will be undermined by their inner narrative. And the person who repeats positive language but never engages in the hard, disciplined repetition of skill building is living in a state of delusion. They are all talk and no action. But when you align the two, when the person who is relentlessly practicing their craft is also relentlessly programming their mind with the language of victory, when your repeated actions are in harmony with your repeated words, you become an unstoppable force of nature. Your outer world must, by law, begin to conform to your inner world. So I ask you, what are you repeating? Look at your habits. Are they the habits of a dabbler or the habits of a future master? Listen to your inner voice. Is it the voice of a victim or the voice of a victor? Every day is a new practice session. Every moment is a choice. Will you repeat the actions that lead to mastery? Will you repeat the words that build a powerful identity? This is the architecture of destiny. It is not built with one grand gesture, but with a million small, disciplined, and repeated choices. Begin today. Choose one skill and commit to the process of repetition. Choose one empowering phrase and repeat it to yourself until it becomes your truth. Become the master of the mundane, and you will inevitably produce the magnificent. We have traveled a great distance on this intellectual journey together. We began by making the most fundamental choice: to forsake the easy road for the hard road, trading the tons of regret for the ounces of discipline. We then learned to read the master map of life, the unchangeable law of the seasons, to align ourselves with reality. We committed to becoming the primary investor in the enterprise of our own lives, and we mastered the engine of all achievement, the twin forces of repetition and language. We have, in essence, built a magnificent vessel. Our ship is strong, our engine is powerful, and our crew, our mindset is prepared. But a ship, no matter how powerful, is a tragedy if it remains chained in the harbor. Its purpose is not safety, its purpose is a destination. Today, we learn how to navigate. Today, we discuss the final pillar, the operational philosophy that translates all our internal preparation into external results. We will master the navigator's three essential tools: clarity, risk, and resilience. Without these, the most powerful ship is merely driftwood at the mercy of the currents. With them, you can chart a course to any destination you choose. Let us begin with the first and most critical tool, the destination itself. Let us speak of clarity. Hard work, by itself, is one of the most tragically overrated virtues. I have seen people work with incredible, back-breaking effort for their entire lives, only to end up disappointed and exhausted. The man who digs ditches from sunrise to sunset works hard. But if he is digging in the wrong field, all his sweat produces nothing of value for him. Activity is not the same as accomplishment. Motion is not the same as progress. The universe does not reward you for the effort you expend, it rewards you for the results you create. And results are impossible without a clear, defined target. A life without clarity, without a powerful and compelling vision for the future, is a life lived by accident. You become a pawn in the plans of other people. The currents of culture, the demands of your boss, the expectations of society, these forces will steer your ship for you, and they will not steer you to the harbor of your own dreams. So, how do we create this clarity? It is not a mystical process. It is a technology for focusing human potential. It begins with allowing yourself to dream. You must give yourself permission to answer the question, what do I truly want from my life? If there were no limitations, what would I want my health, my finances, my relationships, my contribution to the world to look like in 5, 10, 20 years? You must engage your imagination. A goal that does not emotionally inspire you will not have the power to pull you through the tough times. But a dream is not a goal. A dream is a wish. A goal is a dream with a deadline and a plan. You must take your grand vision and crystallize it into written, specific, and measurable objectives. To be wealthy is a wish. To have a net worth of $1 million by the age of 40, by saving 20% of my income and investing in low-cost index funds, that is a goal. The act of writing your goals down begins to transmute them from ethereal wishes into concrete possibilities. Once you have a clearly defined written goal, it becomes your compass. It becomes your ultimate decision-making filter. In a world of infinite distractions, clarity is power. When you have a powerful destination, it becomes remarkably easy to say no to the things that don't serve your journey. You no longer need to rely on willpower alone to avoid distractions. You are pulled forward by the gravity of your own compelling future. Now, the moment you define your destination, you are confronted with a stark and unavoidable truth. To reach a new shore, you must be willing to lose sight of the old one. You must leave the safety of the harbor. This brings us to the navigator's second tool, the courage for calculated risk. Our society has a dysfunctional relationship with risk. We are taught to fear it, to avoid it, to seek the safe and predictable path. But we have forgotten the great secret. Playing it safe is the most dangerous thing you can do. The illusion of safety is a trap. The safe job with the gold-plated pension can vanish overnight in a corporate merger. The safe investment of cash in a savings account is silently eroded by the cancer of inflation. The safe life of never taking a chance, never starting the business, never asking for the promotion leads to the one risk you can never recover from. The risk of arriving at the end of your life filled with the regret of what could have been. True navigation requires that you differentiate between a foolish risk and a calculated one. A foolish risk is a gamble. It is stepping off a cliff and hoping you learn to fly on the way down. A calculated risk, however, is an investment. It is an act taken after you have done your homework. It is a risk taken from a position of knowledge, preparation, and strength, the very strength you built by investing in yourself. The farmer risks the seed in the ground not as a gamble, but because he understands the principles of agriculture. He has calculated that the potential harvest is worth the price of the seed. You must be willing to take calculated risks in every arena of your life. You must risk your capital in sound investments to grow your wealth. You must risk your ego by asking for what you want and facing the possibility of rejection. You must risk your comfort by stepping into leadership roles that stretch you. Fear will be your constant companion on this part of the journey. Fear is the fog that rolls into the harbor, whispering, "Don't leave, it's dangerous out there. What if you fail?" The navigator's job is not to pretend the fog isn't there. The navigator's job is to trust the compass of his clarity, to engage the engine of his discipline, and to sail forward anyway, knowing that the cost of staying in the harbor is always, in the long run, higher than the cost of the voyage. And this leads to the one promise I can make you. Once you have left the harbor, once you are on the open sea in pursuit of your destination, you will encounter storms. The winds will howl. The waves will crash over the deck. There is no journey of any significance that is free from adversity. It is in these moments of chaos and pressure that the final, and perhaps greatest of the navigator's qualities is forged: resilience. A storm will reveal the true nature of your vessel. The same storm can sink a poorly made raft and yet be an inconvenience for a well-built ship. Your resilience is a measure of the strength of your character, your philosophy, and your preparation. When faced with a setback, and you will face them, there are two possible responses. The fragile mindset sees failure as a final verdict. The storm as a sign that the journey was a mistake. They see the setback as a wall, a stop sign. They curse the wind, abandon their destination, and desperately try to paddle back to the safety of the harbor. The resilient mindset, however, sees the storm differently. It does not welcome it, but it understands it. The resilient navigator sees the setback not as a wall, but as a data point. The storm is not a verdict, it is feedback. The failure is not a judgment on their character, it is a lesson in their strategy. They ask, "What is this storm teaching me? Is my sail set correctly? Is there a structural weakness in my ship I was unaware of? How can I navigate this more effectively next time?" They do not see failure as the end of the journey. They see it as the tuition they must pay for the education of success. This brings us to the story of the Chinese bamboo tree. A farmer plants a seed, he waters it for the first year, and nothing happens. The second year, he waters it and protects it, and still nothing breaks the surface. The third year, the fourth year, the same. He is pouring his effort into barren ground. His neighbors mock him. He is tempted to quit, to plow the field and plant something that provides an immediate result. But he persists. He demonstrates what I call active patience. He continues to do the work, to water the seed, trusting in the process he cannot see. And in the fifth year, the bamboo tree breaks through the ground and shoots up 80 feet into the air in a matter of weeks. The question is, did it grow 80 feet in a few weeks? No. It spent 5 years growing underground. 5 years of building a massive, complex root system strong enough to support its spectacular outward growth. Your life is that bamboo tree. There will be long seasons of summer where you are doing the work, you are facing the storms, you are persisting in your discipline, and you see no outward results. This is the ultimate test of resilience. It is the ability to keep watering the dream when the ground looks barren. It is the faith to know that your roots are growing deeper and stronger, preparing you for the breakthrough that is to come. So there they are, the navigator's three essential tools. Clarity, the compass that gives you direction; risk, the courage to leave the harbor; and resilience, the strength to withstand the storms. These three are a trinity. They cannot exist without each other. Clarity without the courage for risk is nothing but a daydream. Risk without the resilience to endure failure is just recklessness. And resilience without the clarity of a destination is just aimless survival, drifting from one storm to the next without ever making progress. You have done the work. You have built a magnificent ship. Now you must become its captain. Take out your charts, Define your destination with absolute crystalline clarity. Assess the calculated risks you must take to begin the journey, and make a solemn vow to yourself that when the storms come, you will not see them as a reason to turn back, but as an opportunity to become the master of your ship and the captain of your soul. Your harbor is waiting. We have come to the end of our time together, but we have arrived at the most important moment of all, the beginning of your new life. We have journeyed through a philosophy not of abstract ideas, but of practical and profound truths. And now we stand at a crossroads. Not a crossroads on a path, but the crossroads within your own soul, where the final and only truly important decision is made. Let us for a moment look back at the ground we have covered. Our journey began with the acceptance of a stark reality, what we called the fundamental choice. We confronted the great paradox that the easy road, the path of comfort and convenience that society sells us, leads inevitably to a hard life filled with the heavy tons of regret. And the hard road, the path of discipline and deliberate effort, is the only one that leads to a life of genuine ease, freedom, and satisfaction. Armed with this courageous choice, we were given a map to navigate the terrain of reality. We learned the timeless wisdom of the law of the seasons. We came to understand that life is not a straight line, but a cycle. We learned to use the inevitable winters for planning and reflection, the fleeting springs for massive action, the long summers for disciplined cultivation, and the glorious falls for responsible harvesting. We learned not to wish for a change in the seasons, but for the wisdom to change ourselves. With the map in hand, we turned our focus inward to the vessel that would carry us on this journey. We committed to the most important enterprise we will ever manage, the enterprise of you, Incorporated. We embraced the law of investing in yourself, understanding that our outer world is but a mirror of our inner world. We chose to become a student for life, to invest our time in knowledge, our treasure in mentorship, and our effort in the forging of world-class skills. We then learned how to power this vessel, how to translate potential into performance. We mastered the engine room of achievement through the twin forces of the power of repetition and language. We accepted that mastery is not an act, but a habit, forged in the fire of 1,000 small, disciplined repetitions. And we awoke to the incredible power of our inner dialogue, learning to program our minds for victory by consciously choosing the vocabulary of a victor, not a victim. And finally, we learned the art of navigation. We embraced the navigator's compass of clarity, risk, and resilience. We learned that effort without a clear destination is wasted. We learned that the greatest risk is to risk nothing at all. And we learned to view the inevitable storms of life not as walls that stop us, but as winds that strengthen us, understanding that failure is merely the tuition we pay for the education of success. And so, here we are, with the choice made, the map understood, the vessel strengthened, the engine running, and the compass set. All the pieces are on the table. But they remain just pieces until you, the architect, decide to build. Before you make that final, binding decision, I want you to look with unflinching honesty at the alternative. Let us dissect the true, long-term cost of the easy road. The easy road is the most cleverly disguised tragedy in all of human existence. It does not announce its destructiveness. It is a slow fade, a quiet erosion of the human spirit. It is the death of your potential by 1,000 small compromises. The easy road is the alarm clock that is snoozed, just for today. It is the difficult conversation that is postponed until tomorrow. It is the book that is left unread. It is the workout that is skipped. It is the dollar that is spent on fleeting pleasure instead of invested in future freedom. Each choice on its own seems insignificant, a single drop of water. But 1,000,000 of these drops, over a lifetime, will have the power to erode a mountain of ambition. The language of the easy road is the vocabulary of someday. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll write that book. But on the calendar of life, the week is filled with 7 days. And not a single one of them is named someday. It is the most dangerous word in our language, for it allows us to postpone our lives indefinitely. The easy road feels comfortable in the moment, but it is a mortgage on your future happiness. And one day the bill comes due. The bill is presented to you in your later years, not in the currency of money, but in the currency of regret. It is the gnawing, hollow feeling of looking back and knowing with absolute certainty that you were capable of more. It is the ghost of the person you could have become, standing beside you as a constant silent accusation. That is the true nature of the hard life that the easy road creates. Now, let us turn our gaze to the alternative, the hard road. Choosing the hard road is not about choosing a life of punishment and misery. It is about a profound shift in identity. You cease to be a passive consumer of your circumstances, and you become the active architect of your destiny. Your entire relationship with life changes. The architect does not fear the winter. They see it as the necessary and productive season of design, the quiet time when the blueprints for the next masterpiece are drawn. The architect does not see a book or a seminar as a cost. They see it as the acquisition of raw materials, the steel of new skills, the concrete of new philosophies from which they will construct their future. The architect does not see daily discipline as a chore. They see it as the process of laying one perfect brick upon another. They know that the most magnificent cathedrals were not wished into existence. They were built one stone at a time, day after day. And most importantly, the architect does not see a problem, a setback, or a failure as a catastrophe. They see it as a structural test. When the winds of adversity blow, they do not curse the wind. They examine their creation and ask, where is the weakness? What does this test reveal? How can I rebuild this but stronger? The easy life that this hard road leads to is not a life free from problems. That does not exist. It is a life where you have become so strong, so wise, and so capable that the problems that would crush the average person become mere puzzles to you. The reward is not a life of leisure, it is a life of strength. The prize is not comfort, it is character. The ultimate success is not the destination you reach, but the person you become along the way. And so we arrive at this moment. Now, the past is a memory. It cannot be changed. It is for learning, not for living in. The future is a promise. It cannot be guaranteed. It is for inspiration, not for obsession. The only point of power you possess in your entire life is in this present moment. The decision you make today, in the next few hours, will set the trajectory for the person you will be tomorrow. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait until you have more time, more money, or more confidence. That is the trap of the easy road. The perfect moment to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. The final decision is not a single choice you make today and are then finished. It is a choice you must remake every single day. It is a commitment that is renewed every morning when your feet touch the floor. When the alarm rings, you choose discipline or you choose comfort. When you are faced with a challenge, you choose growth or you choose retreat. When you have $1, you choose investment or you choose consumption. Life is the sum of these choices. So I will not leave you with a theory. I will leave you with a command, a call to action. Before this day is over, you must take one deliberate, tangible action that serves as a declaration of your choice, a contract signed with your future self. Take out a piece of paper and write down your most important goal with absolute crystalline clarity. Go online and buy the one book you know you need to read. Put on your shoes and go for the walk or the run you were planning to skip. Make the phone call you have been dreading. Open a savings account and make your first deposit, no matter how small. Take one action. Let it be the first brick in the foundation of your new life. Let it be the signal to the universe that you are no longer a passive observer, but an active architect. The choice is yours. The tools are in your hands. The blueprint is in your heart. You were not born to live a life of quiet desperation, to be a spectator in the grand arena of life. You were born to build, to create, to overcome, to contribute, to live a life that is a testament to the power of the human spirit. Choose the hard road, and it will lead you to a life more magnificent than you have ever dared to imagine. Now, go and begin the work. Our time for this session is over, but your journey is just beginning. The principles we discuss here are not meant for a single listening, but for a lifetime of study and application. To continue this journey with us, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Each video is a brick in the foundation of your future. Join our community of builders, of architects, of navigators. The work continues. I look forward to seeing you in our next session.